All right, greetings and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for attending today's session at Reach Cyber Charter School, specifically our high school information session. Now, keep in mind, a lot of the content that we're going to be covering today will kind of play into kindergarten through 12th grade, but this is more specifically for high school. But if you do have any questions or any kiddos in the various grade levels aside from high school, we'd be happy to answer any of them. What I'm going to do now is put in the chat pod our email address. So after today's session, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. But I also wanted to kind of ping that for you so you also know, if you have any questions during today's session, by all means, feel free to ask away. At the end of the session, if you'd like to use your camera and microphone, by all means, you can do so as well. So before we get started, I do have three wonderful teachers here with me. I'll do my introduction first. My name is Doug Meadle. I am the manager of external outreach here at Reach Cyber. Believe it or not, I'm actually celebrating my 20th year in virtual education across the state of Pennsylvania. So prior to coming to Reach about 3 years ago, I worked for one of the larger cyber schools. Really glad I came to Reach. We have about 6,000 plus students. We are a STEM school. We're going to talk about what sets us apart in just a moment. But I'm going to turn it over to Alyssa real fast for her introduction.
So good afternoon. My name is Alyssa Kuhn. I teach American government at the high school. So that's going to be usually your seniors and your juniors. And this is my 5th year at Reach.
Perfect. Thank you, Alyssa. And over to Gisette.
Hi, I am Josette Gordon. I teach 10th grade English as well as AP Literature and Composition at the high school. I am also the yearbook advisor. This is my 20th year teaching and my going into, I think, my 5th year at Reach.
All right, well, happy 20th as well, Josette. We celebrate that same anniversary in education. That's great. So over to Wyatt.
And I am Wyatt Anderson. I'm the carpentry teacher at the high school at Reach. I have actually been here, this is my 4th or 5th year. I think 4th year at Reach.
All right, perfect. And yeah, we'll talk about all the cool things Wyatt does with the carpentry program and how we get students ready for life after graduation. But before we begin, we like to always kind of start with our vision and our mission of Reach. So our vision of Reach Cyber Charter School is to inspire and nurture future success for all students. And our mission is to promote academic growth and cultivate curiosity through STEM opportunities, personal K through 12 instruction, and career exploration. So you're going to hear throughout that presentation the word STEM, that obviously being science, technology, engineering, and math. We are a STEM school. STEM is built into our DNA. So even the younger kids get a STEM kit. High schoolers do as well, but we'll talk all about these STEM electives and fun, engaging stuff we do with STEM and how we also combine that cross-curricular as well in just a few slides. So STEM is definitely a big thing. Socialization is also a big thing. We schedule over 750 field trips per year. Or socialization opportunities per year across the state. So there's a lot of opportunities for your kiddos to socialize, not just regionally. You are by all means welcome to attend any of the field trips as long as you sign up for that. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes as well. I am not going to read this entire quote from our leader, Jane Swan, but this is kind of just to let you know how Reach was started back in 2016. So we are celebrating our 10-year anniversary, believe it or not, this year. We wanted to create a school not just dedicated to STEM, but also dedicated to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we're going to talk a little bit about, how we incorporate all of that during today's presentation. presentation, but one resource that I'm actually also going to put into the chat right now, kind of hot off the press, we just published this about a couple weeks ago, is our school guide. So I did put that in the chat. If you want to click on that and bookmark that or review it later, it does cover a lot that we will be covering at today's session. Basically, every single student, so whether you have one student or 4 students enrolled in your household, each one will receive their own laptop. You will receive an internet subsidy per household, so that is $50 per month. That can actually be paid directly to your utility company or used, or comes in the form of a prepaid debit card, again, to offset any internet costs that you might have. You're going to receive all the course and curriculum supplements that are involved for your child's grade. So depending on what courses they pick or what grade level, they're going to get all the course materials that they need. And you're also going to get our fantastic family mentor services. So a little bit about our family mentors. Great news is they are regionalized. They're kind of like your go-to person if you have any questions or concerns about Reach. They'll help you out at the beginning of the school year. They have an orientation course that we offer. Any questions that you might have, feel free to reach out to your family mentor. But like I said, they're also regionalized as well. So they can do home visits. They can see you out and about at some of our awesome field trips that we do. So please do take advantage of our family mentors that we offer. In terms of the program that we use, like I said, every student gets their own laptop. They are Dell laptops, they're Wi-Fi, pretty good laptops. I believe they're the same ones that us teachers use as well. As soon as they power that on, there's a little Reach Rocket icon. They're going to click on that, and it's going to open on our learning management system up. So our LMS that we use is known as Canvas. A lot of higher ed universities use it. A lot of cyber schools use it as well. We found it to be the best suiting for our cyber school. I like to call it our all-in-one stop shop for everything that you need for your child. They have access to all of their assignments, their lessons, their email communications, the live virtual classes, all of those community events. We have a program called Horizon where you can see what field trips are taking place in your area as well. All the STEM opportunities and your calendar. So basically everything you need to access is available through Canvas. And again, it's just as easy as clicking on that little Reach Rocket icon for your students once they get their laptop from us. So in terms of our curriculum, obviously we are a public cyber charter school. So that means we are authorized by the Pennsylvania Department of Education. I always like to say, if you really want to know what your child is learning specifically, for each grade level, you can always check out the Pennsylvania Department of Ed website for every single grade level, for every single subject. There's a standard, there's an objective that says what your child should be learning. As a public school, obviously, we cover that. I just say don't print it out because it'll be like 800 pages per grade level. But just rest assured, we have a rich curriculum that meets the Pennsylvania Department of Education requirements. I like to say we exceed it with our hybrid curriculum. So we use a lot of educational online platforms such as Accelerate Education, FlexPoint. Teachers also use the curriculum and enhance those lessons by doing their live virtual classes. Alyssa will be talking about the live virtual sessions in a couple minutes. But just to let you know, for every class that your child has, there's a teacher that teaches a live virtual class as well. So there's flexibility at Reach in the sense that your child can work completely asynchronously, meaning that, they just want to work on their own. They don't want to attend any of the live virtual classes. They work at their own pace. That's completely fine. But we do have live teachers that teach these live virtual classes on a schedule. We'll show you that sample in a few seconds. But here's my caveat to that. Students who attend the live sessions outperform the students who try and just do the work on their own. Just keep in mind, all of those sessions are recorded as well. And I'll have, again, Alyssa talk about that a little bit later, but we do strongly encourage the students to attend as many of the live sessions as possible. Keep in mind they're also recorded for you. But every grade level also has a project-based learning experience built into it. Some of our, since we are a STEM school, a lot of our components are cross-curricular as well. But since this is a high school program, obviously we can start honing in on what specific interests your child has in high school. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a few moments. In terms of our teaching staff, we are all PA certified teachers. So we're all certified from the Pennsylvania Department of Education. We're all highly qualified. School started actually this Tuesday, September 2nd for our students, but our entire staff was actually back a couple weeks ago. We all met back in Lancaster for professional development. So we are always going through ongoing professional development. We're highly qualified, and we do have a low student to teacher ratio. So you don't have to worry about having overbearing numbers for your students, getting in touch with your teacher. That's never an issue here at Reach. So I am going to actually turn it over to Josette to kind of talk a little bit more specifically about our high school program. And again, if you do have questions, you can feel free to use the chat pod, but we'll allow you to use the camera and microphone as well. So Josette, if you want to kind of just talk a little bit more specifically about high school, that'd be great.
Sure. So in high school, all of our students start with the freshman academy. And this puts them sort of in pods, and it allows them to have a smoother transition from middle to high school. High school does conclude, as it does many places, with graduation. Our graduation ceremony is held live in a location that is central to as many students as possible. The past couple of years, it has been in State College, at the Bryce Jordan Center. In the high school, we do have a STEM focus, which is integrated into the curriculum. It is integrated into all of the subjects: science, math, English, um, history. We all include STEM in our lessons. We offer pacing, which I'm sure Alyssa will go into more, in order to fit your needs, but we do offer year-round pacing as well as dual enrollment and other items. And again, I don't want to talk too much about career readiness because I believe Wyatt is going to be covering that, but we do have a career readiness department which offers many, many experiences for our students. Students are required to have a minimum of 21 credits to graduate, and this is very easily done just with a standard pacing schedule. But if you do the accelerated pacing, sometimes students can be done sooner than within 4 years.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, Josette. Yeah, so what I did actually just put in the chat pod right now is some information about our high school graduation. So as Josette said, 21 credits to graduate. And as she said, yeah, it's been pretty cool. We've had our graduation at the Bryce Jordan Center, so you get to see your child in their cap and gown, get an actual diploma. It's a really great experience. If you can attend, we do a virtual graduation where they still announce your child's name as well. But it was pretty neat at this year's graduation. I go to every graduation, and I met at least 24 juniors that were actually graduating that took advantage of our accelerated pacing, our AP courses, or our dual enrollment program. So feel free to take a look at that link that I just sent out to you. Kind of talks about the accelerated pacing option. Typically students take about 6 credits per year. That's 3 in the fall, 3 in the spring. We have a year-round option. So, hey, some seniors that work, believe it or not, during the work week, they, can spread it out. So they do a little bit less during the fall and the spring, and then do 1 or 2 credits in the summer. But then again, if you want that accelerated option where students like to graduate early, we do have a few who take advantage of that. They take their traditional 3 credits in the fall, 3 in the spring, and then take 1 or 2 courses in the summer as well. So feel free to use that link that I put there as a resource. Oh, I jumped up a slide real fast. I'm going to turn it over to Alyssa to kind of talk about those live instructions. I know we already talked about it pretty much, but just know that, for every class that your child has, there is a teacher that's teaching a lesson on that. So Alyssa, if you just want to cover this and then we'll go through the schedule real fast, that'd be great.
Okay. So live instruction, also known as live lesson, which some of the teachers refer to that as live lesson, it's done through Zoom. So your student in their schedule in Canvas will have the link. Just click on it and it takes them straight into that Zoom room. So live lessons are generally, for the most part, and at the same time every day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Might just have a class. Monday, Tuesdays might just have a class here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But generally you do have that class the 5 days of the week, and it's at the same time every day for the most part. Okay. In addition to that, as Doug, I think, mentioned, and if not, I apologize, but these live lessons are not mandatory, okay? However, they are strongly encouraged for your students to attend because it goes over the content that, is scheduled for that day, reviews for tests and quizzes, discussing a project that was assigned. So it's a good time for your students to get questions answered if need be, and also to kind of dive a little bit deeper into that content. Also, if your student attends, just say like a Monday class, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to attend Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You can kind of spread it out if you need to, if you have an appointment or that student is just having an off day. Every lesson is also recorded, so they can always refer back to that recording if they cannot make that live lesson. Looking at the next slide, you see kind of a class schedule. So as I mentioned, you usually have your classes at the same time every day. So you can see that 8:30 it's electives, 9 o'clock it's science, 9:45 ELA, so on and so forth. The additional time that's usually at the bottom is usually for your clubs or your other electives. Or I know AP sometimes and honors is scheduled in the afternoon as well. So you do have time built into your day where you can attend those extracurriculars or use that time to complete your assignments.
All right, perfect. Yeah, thank you, Alyssa. And I think again that so here this is kind of the sample of the honors and AP class schedule as well. Remember, if you're familiar with the AP exam, you score a 4 or 5, you get college credit for that as well. So, basically, we always say the sky is the limit for our students. We do encourage them to attend as many of the live classes that are taught by those teachers. Again, being Alyssa and I taught American government for years, prior to taking this outreach position. I would say, even if you don't attend my live sessions, that week before you have your midterm or a project, watch the recordings or attend that. We're going to be reviewing key concepts. We do see that strong correlation of student success when they attend the live sessions versus trying to do the work independently on their own. So like I said, before we kind of jump into Wyatt and some of the career experiences that we offer for our high schoolers, STEM is definitely built into our DNA. So every grade level, whether you're in kindergarten or in high school, they're going to get a STEM box upon enrollment. We have summer STEM camps, for all grade levels, not just our high schoolers. We really take it up a notch for our high schoolers. Again, that link with that school guide kind of talks about some of the electives that we offer for our high schoolers. We have over 40 STEM camps. Like I said, we do summer STEM camps. I was at the Da Vinci Science Center this summer, and they were doing a CSI experiment. We also partner with all of the science museums across the state since we are a STEM school. And believe it or not, like I said, our students start at Tuesday, September 2nd. The week of September 15th, we are headed to all of these science centers for our back to school events. So hopefully, should you choose to enroll with us, you will meet us at one of our back to school events at one of these science centers. So I'm from the Philadelphia area, so obviously there's the Franklin Institute. I mentioned the Da Vinci Science Center out in Allentown. Pittsburgh has the Carnegie Science Center, Whitaker Center in Harrisburg. You name it, all those little ones in between, we partner with. We're there frequently throughout the year, doing STEM opportunities, career opportunities. We even have a mobile STEM lab that travels all across the state as well. Again, that school resource link that I sent you, but for high schoolers, we have over 75 electives to choose from. This is really where they can kind of start honing in and, figuring out what they want to do when they get older, ranging from art, photography to technology. I mean, we go all the way up to Raspberry Pi robotics, Python programming, web design, career electives such as careers in criminal justice, cosmetology, entrepreneurship. I'm going to have Wyatt talk in just a few seconds about his carpentry program that we have. But basically, our job is to get students ready for life after graduation, whether they want to go directly into the workforce or if they want to go to a college or a university, we get them prepared for that. We also have for our high schoolers career readiness managers that plan internships, networking, externships, opportunities, for students in whatever career field they want to pursue. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Clubs and STEM camps. Again, high schoolers have a ton of opportunities for clubs and STEM camps. We have a literary magazine. We are part of the National Honor Society. We have a creative writing club. Again, that resource, the school guide link I sent earlier, kind of talks about some of those opportunities. We also participate in a lot of competitions and STEM camps. So we have a 3D design, the PennDOT Innovation Challenge. We do that every year. We have an AI machine learning. There's drones as well. So a lot of opportunities for our students. So now I'm going to actually turn it over to Wyatt to kind of talk about our career course program, specifically the carpentry. I can cover the cosmetology and vet science, but these gives it a hands-on approach for students to kind of really dive in and see what it's like to be, a carpenter. So Wyatt, if you want to kind of talk about your program, that'd be awesome.
So the carpentry program at Reach is surprisingly hands-on for a cyber setting. Students do get a kit of tools and materials that build projects that meet union certifications requirements. They then receive 3 union certifications if they complete all 3 classes and an OSHA 10 certification. They get to keep the tools when it's all said and done. So they also, if they go into that field, they have to provide their own non-powered hand tools, which our kit gives them a leg up on that. It is a lot of the basic tools they would need. We also do tours of the 5 union training centers across the state and events across the state throughout the school year to get students in person working with me on projects.
All right, perfect. And yeah, actually, I was just talking. Well, so first of all, let's just caveat to the background of Wyatt's image right there. That is his little carpentry shop right there that he works on, when he's working with the students. But yeah, he does travel at those science centers as well. We do, events all across the state. And Wyatt was saying that we actually have over 96 students involved in the carpentry program this year. So we've exceeded the numbers that we've done previously. And the cool part is, like, why not do it? Because you get to keep those cool tools as well. So hopefully your child, if they're into carpentry, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to me or Wyatt. I can easily reconnect you with him. But it definitely does give the students the hands up, and opportunity to kind of see what it's like. And they do get that OSHA 10 safety certificate. In terms of cosmetology, so our cosmetology program, gives the students the experience and exposure to what it's like prior to entering a cosmetology program. So they will actually get that mannequin with the hair and then the nails, and they kind of go over the students and what it's like to introduce the students to the cosmetology cosmetology field. We have a vet science program as well. Students learn about animal-related experiences and careers. They do visits to veterinarian centers. They actually have live sessions where vets come on board. So there's a lot that we do. And those are just our career course programs, just to name a few. So I was talking about, Wyatt and cosmetology and vet science, but the overall career experience is something that really sets Reach apart. I always say our career readiness managers will get your students ready for life after graduation, and they will do that by any way possible. They will give internships, they'll do networking. If someone, I always joke and say, I'm waiting for that one student to be like, I want to be an astronaut, because our career readiness managers will get them that experience and get them the knowledge and information that they need in order to pursue that career. So our career readiness managers basically provide students industry learning experience. You can actually earn half a credit for completing a career experience as well. So we definitely recommend the students do take us up on any of the career opportunities that we offer across Reach, and pairing up with the career readiness manager. Now, forgot to talk about special education, but just rest assured, we have one of the best special education departments in the entire state, let alone against any cyber school. I believe about 28% of our student population requires some sort of special education services, whether that be special education or gifted education or 504 plans. We cover all of that. We'll talk about those services in a little bit, but basically, if your child needs occupational therapy, speech, any special educational services, we do provide that. The only thing I just ask is that during the enrollment process, you include your most current copy of your IEP. That'll kind of speed things up during the process. Couple more things, and then we'll be wrapping it up. In terms of community outreach, like I said, socialization is a big thing for us. So we schedule over 750 community events per year across the state. There's an app called Horizon that you can access through Canvas and schedule for as many field trips that you want to attend. Like I said, we partner with all the science museums. We're going to be there the week of September 15th, for our back to school events. We also do those career experience and exposures, so field trips to police, EMT, doctors' offices, veterinary officers. We also have the STEM curriculum, and then for every single region, there's also regional outreach coordinators and parent volunteers that plan field trips in your area. So obviously, like I said, being from the Philadelphia area, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of field trips. Good news is chances are, if it's a very successful trip, we do it year after year. So, that's one of the good things. But if there's a trip that we don't do that you think, hey, this might be something that Reach students might want to partake in, you by all means can either become a parent volunteer or reach out to one of our regional outreach coordinators to help, to suggest that field trip opportunity. So Josette talked about graduation. Like we said, it's 21 credits required to graduate. We have a fantastic guidance department team that will work with you. They'll work on the transfer credits, what you need. Rest assured, you'll be, guided by our guidance department, and, know what courses you need. We do have that accelerated pacing option, which we already talked about. Again, take a look at that link that I included, as well as dual enrollment opportunities. So we do partner with local community colleges. So, students can actually go to the local community college. If they like the in-person experience, take that course, they get college and high school credit for that. Or if they want to take some online, college courses, again, they still get high school credit as well as college credit for that as well. A lot that we offer here at Reach. Couple more slides, and then I promise we'll answer any questions that you might have. In terms of enrolling is very easy. So you just go to reachcyber.org, On every one of those pages is one of those red Enroll Now buttons. You just click the Enroll Now button, you enter your contact information, then you will check your email. You'll get a link to our parent portal, and that's where you'll fill out the bulk of the application. But there are some required enrollment documents in order to be successfully enrolled here. So what are they? First is proof of residency. You obviously must be a proof of you must be a Pennsylvania resident in order to partake in this program. So our enrollment counselors will work with you during this. If you have any questions or concerns, the charter school notification form, that is also digitally signed. We send that to your school district to let them know you're officially enrolled with us. There is proof of age that is for your child, not for you, the caretaker. Any immunization history. There's also a home language survey in case you speak anything other than English. And then, like I said, if your child requires any special education needs, please do include the most current copy of your IEP. So like I said, the enrollment counselors will be working with you during this process, but if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Obviously, you can feel free to learn more about our program. So we always encourage you to check out our social media. We're always highlighting our teachers and our students. And if you do have any questions, again, please do not hesitate to reach back out to us. So we thank you all for attending today. Again, if you do have questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks and have a good day.